Havik is a character who doesn't really fit into one playstyle. Of course, I do believe his cameos do decide on what kind of Havik you want to be. But due to how random his moves can be, I think closest would be a frame trapper. Really because of his buttons and how good the frame data on them are. Let's get into them. First things first is Havoc's 1-1. This is +3, meaning you can just do this into another one. Pretty much a free check if your opponent doesn't care about it, tries to challenge your buttons. If your opponent tries to challenge your buttons, down 1, right back into another 1-1 or a 1-1-2, which is also +3. Doing this basically means you are constantly keeping your opponent guessing. Now, of course, they can armor, but it all depends on what reads you're making on your opponent. It's constantly, it depends on what you want. If you make the right read and your opponent tries to armor, it's full combo city. He also has the 4-1-2-2, which ends as an overhead, but it's also +3. However, there is a gap in the forward 1-2-2, where at the overhead, your opponent can armor through it. So, if you know your opponent likes to do that, you can do that right into another combo. This is essentially the game plan for Havik. Force your opponent to try to press buttons and armor through on unsafe attacks. To try to press buttons on unsafe attacks to force your opponent into doing stupid things for what is arguably really bad damage, in my opinion. Well, maybe not bad, but not necessarily, worthwhile damage for what Havik has to go through to get said damage. Havik also has the 2-2, where it is a high overhead medium. If your opponent knows Havik, it likely won't land, but if you've watched my videos for any amount of time, you'll see that it is actually surprisingly a good meaty for reckless opponents who want to wake up buttons for no reason because they see me do this and they're like, oh, he's gonna lose. Or they'll see me do this and go, oh, it's my turn to attack, but they don't realize that the overhead is the point that I'm trying to get to. And then you can just combo them off for, free damage. Be warned that there's also a gap in this string at the high overhead part where it can be Once again, you can just block. If your opponent knows that's coming, that's all you can do. Just hit, block. Because if you do 2-2, you only have right there to, if you do 2-2, you only have the overhead to cancel from. After that, you cannot cancel. That part has to come out, which it can be flawless blocked, so watch out. He also has the 2-1. This attack, though it won't land a whole lot, though I don't see it used often, and I don't use it often as well, it is +6, meaning you could do something like this and your opponent is kind of have to, or you could do something like this and your opponent would have to sit there and take it. Or if they try to armor through it, you block it, or you just hit them out of it. Or if your opponent tries to steal their turn back from it, they're pretty much going to eat a full combo. But now we get to Havoc's main combo, the one you'll want to be using the most, which is his back 2-2. This move has really good range. Like from right here, I would say about right here. Yeah, I would say from around jumping distance, you will pretty much be able to reach your opponent. Havik spacing wise wants to be about right here anyway, because a lot of his best moves reach from right here, which causes your opponent to have to, a lot of characters can't reach from all the way back here. There are certain characters like maybe Reiko, I know Sindel can with her down 4, that it's hard for them to reach all the way over here. Havoc's back 2-2 is basically Havoc's main mix-up string, where you'll be using this attack pretty much all the time, or as often as possible. Don't just use this where like willy-nilly, you know what I mean? You have the back 2-2, 1+3, or the grab, which is a command grab for 10% if only the command grab hits. This goes right through your opponent's guard if they're pretty much too scared to press buttons. But be warned, that is a high and your opponent can duck it. They can also jump it, or if they know it's coming, they can armor through it as well. Havok has a lot of gaps. However, if your opponent continues to guess the grab, you can just do the back 2-2-4 and hit them. This will continually force your opponent to guess the low, which it's not that much damage. It's like 7% or something like that, but it still is, you know, damage, so you can't be mad at that. Now, pretty much your opponent is going to guess between both of these, the back 2-2-4 or the grab. This is basically Havoc's main mix-up. The one thing that I neglected to mention is you can't fuzzy this mix-up because they both hit on the same frame. The grab and the low both hit on the same frame, so your opponent has to make the guess. However, your opponent still, in my opinion, there are more options defensively than Havoc has on offense for the guess, or for this mix-up at least, because the grab and the low both have that same problem. They both have a large gap in it where if your opponent knows that's coming, they will armor through it. Of course, there are some things that Havoc can do to mitigate this, which is just block or do the arm to armor back. However, that also depends on who you're going against. It's very matchup determinative. So if it's a Tanya, you pretty much are kind of SOL on that. Finally, we have Havoc's forward 4. This is surprisingly a really good attack to catch people pressing buttons. The one you'll probably land it the most on is after the throw, because you're just close enough for Havoc's buttons to land. Meaning if your opponent's like, oh, I can just back up. Nope, you hit him with this or you hit him with this for a full combo again, until your opponent realizes I can't run away from them. I have to get up and block again. And pretty much you can set them up for infinite mix-ups as long as you keep guessing right and they keep guessing wrong. It's also really good for catching your opponent after you're trying to do this, because if you have seen, it's a high, meaning it forces your opponent to sit down, and if they're slow to react, you can do the low to catch them pressing buttons for pretty much, you know, a lot of damage. Because if this hits, it's a whole lot of damage. Let me show you. %, for a bad guess. Not bad. Of course, that's probably more, you know, normal for more, that's more like average, and I would say that's above average damage for a lot of the cast, but Havoc's damage isn't necessarily the best. Like, from my knowledge, I think his most optimal, just without cameo, is this. 28% meterless. While it's not bad, I personally don't think it's all that great. I wouldn't say that it's that good at all. But yes, overall his moves, the one thing I neglected to mention is Havoc is safe on every string. Oh crap, I forgot about one. Yeah, this attack, the forward 1-3. This string is very good for catching opponents sleeping at the wheel. Don't use this often. Do not use this often, because if your opponent knows how to flawless block, say goodbye. As you can see at the bottom right, or sorry, the bottom left, it's -15. But because it has a lot of pushback, it's very hard to punish. Unless you're Johnny, you'll just kick him in the face, but you know, Johnny gets to do everything in this game. I believe Tanya can drill kick reversal punish as well. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that there are certain characters who can just reversal punish this instead. Once again, if your opponent knows how to flawless block, as you can see, say goodbye. -25, you're pretty much close enough for every character to be able to punish you. And it's not like it's that good on hit either, because if I remember correctly, yeah, you're -1, and there's too far away to do anything with. So at this point, it's a dash up this at best. You do that, -1, that's all you can really do. Because if you do, the back 2 is too slow. This is your best option. The 4-4 is your best option. If I had to pick Havoc's best buttons, it would be pretty much all of Havoc's 4 buttons, all of his circle buttons. Down 4, because it reaches from like right here, which is a more or less jumping distance. His back 4, which reaches from stupid far. Like, do you see this? Do you see how far a sweep is reaching? This is stupid range. And Havoc's forward 4. Pretty much all of his 4 buttons, even the jump 4 isn't bad. It's got a lot of range for, you know, for jump 4, but you know, it's a jump 4. They pretty much all, they should all be good, right? But yes, Havoc's, you should be using pretty much all of Havoc's 4-4, or you should be using all of Havoc's 4 buttons as often as possible. These are basically Havoc's best buttons to use in neutral. And of course, Havoc's back 2-2. Like, if you know how to space properly and know how to gauge how far you are, at a glance, maybe not at a glance, but pretty much just estimates, you should be fine to land this. It's a really good button to use, and of course it leads into his main mix-up, which forces your opponent to either waste meter or just make a guess. Those are definitely have its best 4 buttons. His down one, it's down one, it's really good, but I would still recommend going for this. Don't do what I do in my videos, which is like do down 4 up close, because it is -12 on block, so your opponent will be able to punish you if they know it's coming, especially Lee Mays. Down 3, if I remember correctly, down 3 is the only one with enough hit advantage. If I remember, down 3 is the only one to have enough hit advantage for this to be guaranteed. Yeah, the hit advantage, yeah, down 3 is the only one with enough hit advantage to pretty much guarantee this, if it lands, the down 3. Down 3 isn't bad per se. It's not better than the down 4. Absolutely, if you can use the down 4, use it. But down 3, it's not terrible. It's pretty good range, I guess, but I would just say, if you really want to guarantee the down 3 into this, use the down 3. Going into Havoc's special moves, they're good, but they're also not. Let me explain. The neoplasm is really good for controlling space, and the neoplasm is really good for controlling space, forcing your opponent to, kneel down. The neoplasm is really good for controlling space and forcing your opponent to sit in one area to make sure that they don't get hit by the orb. Because if they do get hit by the orb and you're somewhere in their area code, you're going to be able to hit them, of course. And you'll be able to move before they do, as you can see. See, 2 dashes before that one was up. Let's see, see, if you do it from full screen and your opponent does nothing, you are in back 2 range, or down 4 or back 4. You're in range of Havoc. However, as you can see, it has a weird arc where it goes slightly upwards and it's very slow. The one thing Havoc has trouble with is zoners. Unless you're using a very specific cameo, the one thing Havoc struggles mightily with is zoners, because a lot of the things he does is very slow. He's a very slow character by nature. As you can see, his back 2 is 18 frames, his forward 4, 15, the down 4 and these 2 are about bog standard for their buttons across the board. But yes, the back 2 and this are really slow. He's a very slow character. So you shouldn't be back here trying to use these orbs against a Reiko, Sindel, Rain, Tanya, any of those characters with at least good enough zoning, because you will lose a battle of zoning with these they're very slow. Not to mention, even up close, it will miss. If your opponent's not blocking, this will miss regardless. You can be right on top of them and it will miss. Even the EX will miss as well. The EX will spin around you and go off the screen, come around and hit the opponent. Still very slow. However, if you have seen the block advantage in the bottom left, that is not a joke. You are plus 75. It gave me an extra frame for some reason, but oh, I guess they just changed it. They gave us an extra they gave us an extra frame for some reason. Yeah, you are plus 76 for no reason. I don't know why, but hey, I'll take it. Havoc's button, or Havoc's helping hand, is really good against over aggressive opponents, but against passive players, it's really not the greatest. The main gimmick of Havoc is this move. This and one other thing. The main thing for Havoc is this move has armor. It has 1 hit of armor unamplified. Amplified, it has 4. Now, the thing about this move is, it has 2 hit reactions. If it just goes without, if it lands without the armor being hit, it will send your opponent flying upwards for a full combo. But if you're hit before that happens, it will splat the opponent for a lot of damage, especially the EX. The EX, however, if it lands, it will crumple the opponent for a full combo. It'll splat the opponent for a full combo. However, if it lands on your opponent while they hit your armor, it does 22%. It's a lot of damage for a simple trade. It's a lot of damage to give up for if you're the opponent. I will note that you should not be doing this in neutral. Do not do this in neutral just willy-nilly, because as you can see, once again, a lot of Havoc's moves are very slow. Almost a full second to come out. Your opponent can react to this, they can jump it, flawless block it. If they really flawless block it, say goodbye to most of your health. Oop, I do not have him blocking. As you can see, minus 15. If it lands, but since it's so slow, it's safe on block. Normally, if it goes, since it's so slow, if it's blocked, it is safe. I think it's minus 4. But if it's flawless blocked, minus 15, full combo punish. Since it's so slow, if your opponent sees it's coming, they'll just back up and then hit you because it has a lot of recovery frames. 44 recovery frames, a little like almost 3/4 of a second. It's a good move against over aggressive opponents, but really bad against opponents who know how to block. It should really only be used in trades against other armors. So if your opponent's trying to hit a gap in a string, use it there, and maybe a little bit sparingly on wake ups. Don't just use this armor willy-nilly, or you will pay the price. Havoc's Bloodbath is a very simple, it's probably the most Havoc-esque thing he has. He'll rip his jaw off and just throw up on you. Don't worry, his jaw comes back. Ta-da! Don't know where he gets the armor from. That move, it's pretty average for, what it is. However, if you are to amplify it, if you do amplify it, it does something a bit different. As you can see, Havoc has this tether-like ball on his face. You input the roll again, it is an unblockable attack. How did I miss that? Oh my god. Or if you input the same roll input after this tether is attached, your Havoc will break his neck and your opponent will repeat the same animation that Havoc did. However, the special thing about it is it's unblockable, meaning it goes through guards, it interrupts movement, it even hits them out of the air. It even hits them out of the air, meaning your opponent will repeat the movement regardless. Since it's unblockable, it costs 2 bars, and it's not that good. Or let me rephrase that. It costs 2 bars and has significant, and I mean significant, damage fall off. So let's just say we do a combo like this. 27%, not bad. If we do that with the same tether attack, we're doing 16%, 11% less than what the normal one does. You are spending 2 bars for guaranteed damage, which is really good, but it's not a lot of damage. Now, I would say, once again, you can't get mad at it because, once again, it's free damage. Your opponent can only do one thing about it, which is armor through it, but it's not... If they remove some of that damage scaling, I would say this is probably like a busted move. Also, another thing I forgot to mention is if Havoc is hit at any point while the tether is still on the opponent, the tether will break. So if Havoc is hit while this tether is on somebody, it will snap and you'll lose 2 bars for no reason. Also, as you just saw, you're on a time limit of maybe like 7-8 seconds. Overall, this is probably the gimmick that Havoc wants to do the most. But since Havoc, it doesn't really give you a lot of damage, it's never really that good. Unless you're using someone like Cyrax, where you're pretty much going to get a whole lot more damage regardless, due to the fact that Cyrax gives you the most damage for Havoc in the game. See, if you did something like that, you're going to hit them for a crap ton of damage. But that is seldomly used, and it's not all that. Next, we have Havoc's Seeking Neoplasm. Once again, a very slow attack, taking, what, 52 just normally? Yeah, taking 52 seconds. Almost another full second attack. However, as in the name, it is a heat-seeking attack where it will track the opponent regardless of where they are. Kind of. It depends and has very wonky arcs, as you can see, where it doesn't have a good arc for certain attacks. So if your opponent's close, after it dips, your opponent can just jump over it. Or in cases of like Reptile and Tanya, if they do their enhanced acid, their enhanced drill kick and reptile, the death roll, the orb won't know what to do and just wiggle around and fly off, right? However, this move is really good for trading. You've seen me use it a little bit. Well, not a little bit. You've seen me use it a lot. You see me use it a lot in more recent videos where you'll do this, 1, 2, 3, and then you'll do this. Your opponent will hit you, and you'll do a combo from there. It's a very easy way to get 15 to 20% for pretty much a free trade, right? However, from far away, it's not that good. The best way to get away from it is to just duck it, because even though it takes a full second, if your opponent's all the way at max range and ducks neutrally, no block, it will just blow up over their head. It won't hit them. If you're anything less than that, they will get hit. Another thing is, if your opponent, the orb gets weaker the longer it's out. As you can see, if it hits the opponent, it does 60. If your opponent gets hit by it standing up from back there, it does, or while they're blocking, it's 12% from right there. Up close, 17. See, it gets weaker from the farther away it is. If they're not blocking, it does 2%. See, if it's max range, it will do about 2%. It's not as strong from far away. The EX, the arc is fixed a whole lot better to where they're a lot more streamlined and will go towards the opponent. 2 bars, 2 of them, they're guaranteed to at least hit at the very least. Maybe not guaranteed, but they're more likely to hit than this one from full range. Overall, that's really what this is used for, to pretty much catch your opponent sleeping. It's more like a setup tool more than a zone tool. That, and it's really, actually, that's kind of a lie. Once again, like the other one, you can move while it's out and you are super plus. Meaning if your opponent tries to press a button while this is out, you will hit them pretty much for free. As you can see, if this lands, you're plus 30. Unless you're up here, oh, even there, my bad, you are plus regardless. However, your opponent has to have no fingers or the reaction time of paint to not be able to react to this, you know what I mean? And last, and certainly not least, is Havoc's Twisted Torso. This is really good chip, but really unsafe. This is Havoc's most damaging combo ender. This is Havoc's most damaging combo ender. While it's good, it's very easy to drop combos with. As you can see right there, it's very easy to drop combos with. And if you do, you pretty much are giving up your entire you're giving up your entire turn and a lot of health. As you can see, 39 frames of recovery, so your opponent will be able to full punish you. But as I said before, it's really good chip, and if you're using someone like Cyrax in his horizontal copter, or Striker's grenades, or Goro's up punch, you pretty much can chip your opponent out for a whole lot of damage. That was what, 8%? I'm not good at math, but see, your opponent is hit for a ton of damage. And that's only if you don't EX it. Oh wait, forgot to mention. This is good, but you really only want to do the EX version because these are all highs, meaning your opponent can duck it. And if they duck it, you're pretty much asking for them to beat the ever-loving snot out of you. But the odds are that happens are slim to none. In fact, if you do this, it's even more chip. Okay, it's 1% more chip, but it's still more chip. But as I said before, it's really good for combo enders if you know that they're going to land. Now we get to the part that's a little bit more Mortal Kombat 1 centric. What cameos are best for the Cleric of Chaos? I've made a video that goes a whole lot more in depth on each one, so go watch that one if you want a more in depth in my reasoning on why each one is which. But this one, I'll just make it a very quick, cursory glance over each person that I think is the best. The number one best person, Sub-Zero. Once again, as I've said in this guide, he's a very slow character. It's very hard for him to get the orbs out to control the space necessary for Havoc's main game plan to go off. So Sub-Zero really does a lot of really mitigates a lot of the problems Havik has, where he's very slow, because the armor will be able to coat him and give him enough time to get the orbs out to control space for every character except Reiko. Sub-Zero's armor is hit based, not duration based. I went over this in the other video, go watch that one. Next is Striker. Being able to make yourself safe on any attack, really good wake up game, and you can combo with the grenades. But as anyone who has played Mortal Kombat for any semi-decent amount of time, Striker is probably one of the best cameos in the game right now. If you're a more casual fan, going against more casual people, Frost is really good because he all overheads Havik has are now lows, meaning you can create mix-ups and full combo it with the ice carpet. This same rule applies for Kung Lao, but you don't get to combo, but you are safe. The one thing I didn't mention for Frost is her ice carpet is very unsafe. However, if you're looking for like crazy combo damage, Cyrax is your guy. I still believe that Cyrax probably gives the best combo damage for Havik in the game. Just simply because you can copter after the throw up and kick them away, so you're basically near guaranteed the neck break setup. Serena. Every person who is a casual, competitive, doesn't matter, knows Serena is really good for combos. She can turn somebody who does very little damage, like Havik or Quan Chi, and give them a bunch of damage. Turn a 26%er into 90%, and you just sitting there confused. He's really good, or she's really good at combo conversions and siphoning meter. That's really it. There are a few options like Jax, which can do a few unblockable setups. Darius is really good for the new wake up buff that he got, and the fact that he can combo off of his command grab and the throw up, and can also make a lot of things safe. Kano does a lot of more fundamental things that a lot of characters don't offer. But other than that, I would say the 5 that I would say, or the 3 you must, or maybe not must, but if you want to have a good time with Havik, the 3 you should use is Sub-Zero, Striker, and Serena. Serena is just a very good casual time for Havik. You really are looking to be like really good with Havik. These 2 are your guys, Striker and Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero is like 1A, Striker is 1B. But that concludes Havik's guide. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if there's anything I missed, any tips, tricks that you guys would like to add on to the video, any questions you had about Havik. Of course, I'll be in the comments to answer them. I've been your boy Mementos, the only Havik main that you should be watching. Peace.